गरीब देते हैं पुरसा तुम्हारे प्यारों का। सलाम तुम पे हमारे रसूल के प्यारों।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. There are various verses in the Quran that talks about a day when we are going to meet our Lord. واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم ملاقوه. Be conscious of God and know that you are going to meet Him. قد خسر الذين كذبوا بلقاء الله. Those who deny the meeting with Allah are the losers. Or this verse in Surah 29, Surah Ankabut, verse number 23, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ وَلِقَائِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يَأْسُوا مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ. Those who deny my signs and meeting with me, they are disappointed of my mercy. It means my mercy would not reach them. Now, what's the meaning of liqa Allah? What do we mean by meeting Allah? Should we go somewhere? Should we do something to meet Him? Well, Allah is everywhere. He is here now. Why should we wait until the day of judgment and until a very late stage of that day so that we could meet Him? Do we not meet Him every day in our hearts? If we are reflecting and contemplating, would not the Prophet, peace be on him, meet Allah every day with his heart? And when we say we meet Him, of course, now He is encompassing us. His knowledge, His power, His presence is encompassing everything. So what should we do? What should happen that we meet Him? Could we not meet Him here? We know that people try hard to feel the presence of God. God is present. If you doubt about your own presence in this hall, you do not doubt. You should not doubt about the presence of Allah in this hall. Before my voice reaches you, He catches it. He knows it. Even He says, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ. Allah sits between you and your heart. It means even before something I want to contemplate, imagine, and say, before it comes to my heart, He gets it. He knows it. So He's present. The only thing is that we do not feel His presence. And the whole idea of meditation, mysticism, self-mortification, for those who are seeking God, not seeking human power, soul power, because people do meditation for two purposes. One, for their soul to gain some extraordinary power, which is the most useless thing one can do in this world. And the second one is to feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a good cause. This is what true urafa, true mystics have spent years and years to achieve. So if he's present, what's the meaning of this meeting? And it's repeatedly mentioned in the Quran that one day you will come and meet me. You will come to my presence. And we will meet and we will talk. If you are a mu'min, the moment you see me, I say salam to you. تَحِيَّتُهُمْ يَوْمَ يَلْقَوْنَهُ سَلَامٌ وَأَعَدَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَرِيمًا. Surah Ahzab. For mu'minun, the day they meet Allah, Allah greets them with peace, fills their hearts with peace, the day they meet Him. So what's the meaning of this meeting? Now, let me read you a story. This is a very beautiful story, a very short one, of course, by Shahabuddin as-Suhrawardi, not the Suhrawardi the mystic, Suhrawardi the philosopher, because we have two Suhrawardis who are almost contemporary. One is very famous mystic, the head of Suhrawardiya Sufi circles, and the other one is the illuminationist philosopher. This illuminationist philosopher, Shahabuddin al-Suhrawardi, has a book, a very beautiful book called Short Persian Stories. And maybe each story is about half a page, maybe sometimes 2 pages, but full of wisdom. Now, this story I read for you, and you will see what world of wisdom he has put in this very beautiful book. This is called Solomon and the Nightingale. Now listen carefully, because these are stories which are grasped by reflection. It is not said for the sake of the story. It's a fake story. It's not a real story. But it's said for the sake of the meaning that the author wants to put inside this. And this is very beautiful, very much connected to what I'm talking. And if you get the meaning of this story, we will get the meaning of that meeting with Allah, and why should we wait until that time. Solomon and the Nightingale. All the birds were present at Solomon's court. Well, he had power over birds, isn't it? The Quran says that we had put birds under his control. Except the nightingale, to whom Solomon appointed one of the birds to take a message and say, it is necessary for you and me to meet one another. Now, of course, Solomon is the king, nightingale is a small bird. However, the message has come from Solomon. It is necessary for you and me to meet one another. When Solomon's message was delivered, the nightingales had never yet left their nests. They were afraid of leaving their nests. And that's why they were not present in Solomon's court. Yet, Solomon sent them a message that we have to meet. Turning to his friends, one of them said, this is Solomon's command, and he does not lie. He has promised a meeting. Yet, no meeting will be possible if he's outside the nest while we are inside. And he will never fit inside our nest. So how could this meeting be possible? There was an aged one in their midst who cried out and said, if the promise implicit in the words, now here we have, this is time of Solomon, but here Suhrawardi has resorted to verses of the Quran, because this is a story which flows beyond time. Now he puts words of the Quran, verses of the Quran in the mouth of these nightingales. It says that aged one said, if the promise implicit in the words, the day whereon they shall meet him, يَوْمَ يَلْقَوْنَهُ, be true. And if the import of the words, all of them in general shall be assembled before us, and unto us shall they return. If all these come true, then the solution is thus. It means that these verses of the Quran says that there should be a meeting, and we want to meet Solomon. Here, of course, Solomon is a metaphor of God, and these nightingales are a metaphor for human beings. Says that if we have to meet him, the solution is, since King Solomon will not fit in our nest, we must leave the nest and go to him. Otherwise, no meeting is possible. Now, what do you get out of this? It's very clear, isn't it? We must leave our nest before we can meet him. When he says, I want to meet you, of course, he doesn't mean that I will come to your small world. You have to come to my big world. Isn't it true? Now, who are we? Do we have any value? Are we really that much? Do we really have that much value and worth so that we go to that world, huge world of God to meet him? Allah says, yes, do not deny this. This is why I have created you. You stupid human beings do not understand, isn't it? Well, if Allah wanted to go rude, he should have spoken like this. You stupid human beings do not understand. I have created you for this. I want to meet you. I cannot come. Of course, we do not believe that God could come and be incarnated in human form like Jesus Christ or like Hindu gods or something like that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yushrikun is above all this. I want to meet you. I cannot come to your world in the sense that I cannot make myself so small. Not that I cannot in the sense that I have no power. It's impossible. That glory, that splendor, it cannot come into this small world. So if you want me, of course you can see me in this small world as well. In every drop of rain you can see me. But if you want to see me in my splendor and glory, then you have to grow. You have to grow. And all this process that I have put for you, you are conceived in the womb in a very, very secure place. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ. We have created you of extract of mud, and then we placed you in a very secure place. Then you come out of that to this world. Then you come to a wider world of Barzakh. You grow bigger, 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 until there comes a day when you would hear that the Lord is here. Now this verse in Surah Fajr has perplexed many exegetes. Kalla إِذَا دُكَّتِ الْأَرْضُ دَكًّا دَكًّا. When the earth is pounded and pounded, it becomes another earth. وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ صَفًّا صَفًّا. And your Lord will come, and the angels in line, you see them, they line for respect of the presence of the Lord. Now, the exegetes say, what does it mean? Of course, we are not going into those views of some of literalists in Islam that say Allah moves like a human being. Well, that's beyond question. Allah never moves in that sense. Allah is everywhere. So, the majority of exegetes say, what does it mean, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ, your Lord comes? Where does he come? Where is he to come? He's everywhere. So what does it mean, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ, your Lord comes? They say, it means وَجَاءَ أَمْرُ رَبِّكَ, the command of your Lord will come. However, why don't we take it, the Lord will come, in the sense that you grow to a level that suddenly is declared, the Lord is here, and you can see. You encounter the Lord in His glory, in His magnificence. You encounter Him. It's not imaginable for us, of course. Now we are in our nest, we are in our cocoon. We cannot imagine that. But when we move to that point, when we come to that level where Allah says, okay, this is the time for our meeting, liqa Allah. This is the time I appointed, and we want to meet. And believe me, you never want that meeting to end. It's something that mesmerizes your soul, captures your whole being. Then Allah takes you somewhere that you can live in His presence forever. إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ وَنَهَرٍ. Muttaqeen live in gardens and rivers, but that's not important. What is important? فِي مَقْعَدِ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَ مَلِيكٍ مُقْتَدِرٍ. Surah Qamar, the last verse of Surah Qamar. In a place that Allah approves their presence there, beside the potent king, في مقعد صدق عند مليك مقتدر. They sit there, and they will be there forever. And that's a place where you don't want to blink, where you don't want to turn your head. So magnificent and beautiful is the view of the Lord. Of course, we don't see Him by eyes. That's natural. Don't take me wrong. It's just the understanding of the heart and the soul which captures Him. But do we capture Him? No. Never. Never, ever. Our heart and our soul can fully capture His beauty. We just have glimpses of His beauty coming. And this is paradise. That's why in paradise you never get bored, because every day you get a new glimpse of that beauty. Dying impatiently for the next morning, for the next glimpse of that beauty to come. Now, in paradise, we have a completely different life from what we understand. Be it the physical life or the spiritual life. As I said last night, in hell we have a physical life, we have a spiritual life. In paradise, we have a physical life, we have a spiritual life. The spiritual life of hell was gloomy. It was somehow overwhelmed by physical tortures. However, the spiritual life of paradise is the purpose of it. And the physical life is just to let you live in comfort so that you can have those spiritual feelings and understandings as easily as possible. And after all, even physical enjoyments give us some understanding of aspects of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Gratefulness, appreciation, knowing the meaning of joy. Well, we have some pleasures in this world and joy, but I tell you, this is fake. If the life here is not real life, the pleasure here is not real pleasure. If the life here is just play and a sport, an imitation of life, the pleasure here is imitation of pleasure. There's no pleasure in this world. Remember this hadith, hadith Qudsi, that's Allah said to the Prophet, people seek comfort in this world. Tell them, I have not created comfort for this world. The moment you get what you want, there is a disaster beside it, isn't it? Don't think that Allah doesn't know this. We usually think, Allah, couldn't you make a better world? Why like this? Why you don't give us a respite? Well, that's the whole purpose of this world. He doesn't want you to get a respite. You get a respite, you want to live forever in this world. And this is not what He wants. He wants you to detach and go and move. And despite all these calamities, predicaments, poverty, illness, everything, you see how this stresses. Of course, in the past we had more physical type of pressures and problems. Now we have more psychological problems. And despite all this, you see how attached we are to this world, how reluctant we are to leave this world. Now imagine Allah would have created comfort without hardship in this world. What would have happened? So, when we talk of pleasure in paradise, that's real pleasure, that's true pleasure. The way you understand how God is filled in Himself with joy and pleasure. And God never goes sad, does He? He's the delight, pleasure, joy, rejoicing, all comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have two types of pleasure to get two aspects of this splendid, glorious being which we are going to live with forever. When I say forever, I know none of us know what does it mean. It means that you don't have time strain, isn't it? You like to sit here, have question and answer for 500 years. Who cares? You have plenty of time. Or you want to go and visit a friend and live there for 1,000 years and then come out after the conversation, long conversation. Who cares? Time never ends. Can you imagine that? It's not imaginable. If you imagine it, you tremble. They say about Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah alayhi that he used to advise his students. You know Allama Tabatabai, the author of this Tafsir al-Mizan. When he used to advise his students, he used to say, think about your eternity. And he trembled. He had a feeling of it. What does it mean? Eternity. We don't have it. Eternity is for God, isn't it? There is another beautiful hadith that after people live in paradise for some while, they receive a letter from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which it is written, هذا كتاب من الحي الذي لا يموت. This is a letter from the living who never dies. إلى الحي الذي لا يموت. To a living who never dies. Isn't it? I'm not going to die anymore. And then he says something else. I don't say it now. I mean, this was just the address, the title of the letter. The content of the letter I want to discuss, and then I reveal it. Because if I reveal it now, I have revealed myself. Now, when you go to paradise, there are two sides to it. One is abundance and extravagance in life. You want to live for how many billion years? How many billion years is not even just 1 inch of the whole lifespan of eternity. So Allah gives you 1 million palaces. Okay, now let's talk about these things a little bit. You want to live in each palace for 1 million years and then you get tired of it. So 1 million palaces given to you, you live in each of them 1 million years, that's only 1 billion years. What do you want to do the rest of your life? That's why I say that is abundance there. Don't get it wrong when we have some traditions that you get such and such kingdom for yourself. So many palaces, so many servants. I mean, when you compare that to eternal life, it comes to nothing. It's like a kingdom. You are a king there because Allah is king. You're like a king. Surah Dahr, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. If you have a glance at that life, you see abundance of favor and a big kingdom. A big kingdom. Well, I always ask myself, do I worth it? Do I worth it? Of course I don't. Of course I don't have that value, but God is great. He is so generous. It's not because we deserve it. It's not because we have achieved it. Of course, Allah is so generous when He deals with us. He said, you have achieved it yourself through just 50 years of action in that world. But we know that we haven't. We know that it is Him who is so generous. That's why Prophet, peace be on him, said no one would ever enter paradise except through grace of God. And they asked him, what about you, Prophet of God? Even you? He said, even me. Who deserves that kingdom? Who are we? Where were we? We were nothing. هَلْ أَتَى عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ. This Surah Dahr is very beautiful. You recite it. It's about paradise. But it begins like this. هَلْ أَتَى عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ حِينٌ مِّنَ الدَّهْرِ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا مَذْكُورًا. Does human ever remember a time when it was nothing to be mentioned? It wasn't long before, wasn't it? 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 50 years ago, did anyone ever in this world know that we are going to come? No. We were nothing. When Allah gives the good tidings of a child to Zakaria alayhi salam, that Ya Zakaria, inna nubashiruka bi ghulamin ismuhu Yahya, lam naj'al lahu min qablu samia. Zakaria, we give you the good tidings that we are going to give you a son whose name is Yahya. Zakaria was surprised. قال رب أنى يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرة وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا. How it could be? My wife has always been barren. I'm so old and dry now. How is it possible to have a child at this age? قال كذلك قال ربك وقد خلقت هو علي حي وقد خلقتك من قبل ولم تك شيئا. Your Lord says, it's easy for me. I created you before and you were nothing. I gave you life. To a drop of water, before that to dust, before that to nothing. I gave you life. Do we deserve to go to paradise? However hard we try in this world, all nights awake, crying and worshipping God, all days fasting, whatever we can give out to people, does it really make us deserve to go to that position? This is high position. No. That's why never ask Allah to judge you with His justice, because then you get nothing, I tell you. You get nothing. يا من لا يخشى إلا عدله ولا يرجى إلا فضله عاملني بفضلك ولا تعاملني بعدلك. O one who is not feared but for His justice. You are not feared for oppressing anyone or wronging anyone, isn't it? We never fear Allah for wronging someone. He is the just King. So no one fears you but your justice. And no one hopes anything but your grace. So treat us with your grace and do not treat us with your justice. This is high position. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Does insan remember a time when it was nothing? إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا. We created a human being from a clot of blood. Then we took it stage by stage and we gave them sight and hearing. They became intelligent beings. And then Allah takes us to the other side, that what is awaiting you is more than all these. Now, let's move on. There are two sides to paradise. One is the physical life. As I said, it's abundance. It's very different from this life. If you hear anything about paradise which doesn't match our life here, do not be surprised. There is no surprise. مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون. The example of the paradise which muttaqun are promised. فيها أنهار من ماء غير آسن. There are rivers of waters which never go rot. وأنهار من لبن لم يتغير طعمه. Rivers of milk which never change taste. And rivers of honey. And rivers of wines. Now you might say, do we drink wine? Astaghfirullah, in paradise. Yeah, that's a different type of wine we drink. Something which gives us a spiritual elation. Again, go to Surah Mulk. You have different of these type of drinks which provokes your spiritual attention so that you get a manifestation. And then when you get that manifestation, you cannot calm down. You cannot come back to paradise. You have left it. Then they give you some other drink to bring you down. To bring you down. إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا. Abrar will drink a drink from a goblet which is mixed with camphor, brings them down. When they go out, like prophets, sometimes he had some fits of presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he wanted to leave this world. I don't know how authentic is this, but they say he used to say, Aisha, kallimini ya Humaira, Aisha, speak to me, I'm leaving. Bring me down to this world. It was not time for him to leave yet. In paradise it will be the same. Then when next day Allah wants to manifest a new beauty, and that glimpses of beauty never ends, never ends. Allah is infinite. You go forever. You move forward forever, and it's there forever. And the love which is developed in your heart for Allah there cannot be described. Why Allah doesn't speak of spiritual life of paradise? Because how can we understand it? We cannot understand the spiritual status of our prophet in this world. How can you understand the spiritual status of people in paradise? So when next day they want to get that manifestations, وَيُسْقَوْنَ فِيهَا كَأْسًا كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا زَنْجَبِيلًا. We give them another goblet mixed with ginger, elates them, brings them up to get those manifestations. Now, physically, rivers of wine, rivers of honey, rivers of milk. I don't know where those honey and milk come from. I don't know. It's a different world. Do we need bees and cows for that? We don't know. We don't know. How many bees and cows we need there in paradise? We don't know. But as I said, it's a different world. It's a totally different world. And then you are a king. You never do things yourself. You are always served. وَيَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ. There are servants, perpetually young, serving them all the time, going round. And many other things you have heard about paradise. You have read in the Quran about paradise. Usually we say these are metaphorical, these are set for the people of the past, as if the people of the past were silly, stupid, and we are the only intelligent beings in this world. No, people of the past, you read some of their books, I bet they understood things better than we do. It's not metaphorical. The details cannot be metaphorical. I mean, metaphorically we can say, when you die you go to a garden, and we mean metaphorically a good place. But when it comes to details, very minute details, the type of clothes you wear, the silver bracelets, the silver goblets from which you drink, the silk, the harir, estabrak that you wear, and all these glory and splendid, it cannot be metaphorical. But it is not the whole paradise. This is the point. It's just the physical life in which we live. But we don't live there for physical purpose. This is how our bodies have pleasure in paradise, but the soul needs other pleasures. Now, the moment we enter paradise, human life begins there. Human life, up to there is not life. It's just pain and toiling and going stage to stage. Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. You human, you labor laboriously towards your Lord until you meet Him. And after you meet Him, then your life begins in paradise. Then there is one question. Well, we have different people go to paradise. Majority of people, I guess, would go to paradise. And I tell you one thing. We have a hadith that the majority of people of paradise are women. Well, it's natural. They give birth to us, isn't it? They give birth to us. So, it's quite natural. But we have different stations, isn't it? It's not fair that the one who had a good heart but was not familiar with his Lord would go to the same place as the one who wakes up in the middle of the night, remembers the Lord, has His love in his heart. We cannot go to the same place. There are different stations, levels. انظر كيف فضلنا بعضهم على بعض. Surah Isra. Look how different we have created them in their creation. How we have given more to some, less to some in this world. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ أَكْبَرُ دَرَجَاتٍ وَأَكْبَرُ تَفْضِيلًا. In Akhirah, you see more of these differences. More of these preferences. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam said to his companions, I see all of you enter paradise, but don't worry about entering paradise. Worry about acquiring a level that you deserve. Because if you are at a lower level, while you could acquire higher level, you have lost something. Although you cannot feel it in paradise, you never can feel loss. You never want to have something that someone else has, because you don't know what they have. Everyone lives with his own heart, within the heart. You never know. Everything is content. However, you get different things. Now, you might say that how do we get different things while we are told, whatever you wish in paradise, it will be there for you? It's too good to believe, isn't it? It's too good to believe. But that's life. How the whole creation of Allah finds purpose is here. Now, what does it mean, whatever you wish it will be? You don't ask for it. You don't say, God, give me this. No. You don't ask anything. No dua. Your dua there is Subhanallah. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله آخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. You want to call him, there's nothing to call for. You just say praise, all praise belongs to you. Now I tell you, you close your eyes, say, I want a big mansion. Okay? Imagine it in your mind. I want a big mansion. I want the bricks of this mansion, 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 ruby. Can you imagine that? Oh, you never have seen gold and silver and ruby. I want that. I want such and such things in this mansion. You can imagine that, isn't it? Now, here you imagine it. There, you just create it. As soon as you imagine it, it's there for you. This is the meaning of لَهُمْ فِيهَا مَا يَشَاءُونَ. Whatever they wish is there for them. You just imagine something and it's there. Now you say, how do we get different things there? Different levels, while whatever we wish is there? Because the extent of our wish are different. We have very limited wish, because in this world we did not contemplate. We did not know God. We did not find Him something that we could love. The extent of our wish is God give us money, God give us wealth, God save us from death. This is the extent of our understanding. And we go with this extent of understanding to paradise, and that's our level. But the level of someone who knows much more of this world is much higher, but we don't know it. We don't know it. The physical life is equal, it's the same. I just see that you have a very beautiful palace, I just imagine that I want that. It will be there for me. No problem. But what goes inside the hearts are very different. How Allah manifests Himself to you is very different. Look for the levels. What level you please. Of course, in paradise we move towards perfection. Every day that Allah manifests Himself, we have one step higher than where we were before. And forever we go. But the point is like a train. Some sit in the first wagon, some sit in the last wagon, and it all move together. We all move up. But the one which is at the top and the one which is at the bottom, they all move together. That's why you never get the position of a saint if you are not a saint in this world, in paradise. You get that position, but that's after that saint has left that position long before you. We are told in a hadith that after 50,000 years that Allah manifests Himself in paradise to the believers, they come to an understanding of Him which Prophet had in this world. Good, 50,000 years, just beginning, isn't it? But where does Prophet go after that 50,000 years? We cannot imagine. We cannot imagine. And that's why we are told people are placed on their levels in paradise. Try to get a higher level, otherwise you lose. Although there you do not envy, there you cannot understand. once Isa alayhi salam, this is again is this in this beautiful Gospel of Barnabas, this Isa alayhi salam was asked, you say that people have their reward according to their actions in paradise, so what reward they get is different from each other, so how do they not envy each other? Now look how beautifully he answers. He says, when a tailor comes to your house, apparently in those days tailors went to the houses and tailored clothes for everyone. When the tailor comes to your house, he tailors a child dress for a child and a bigger dress for a grown-up. The child never would like to have that bigger dress because he would seem funny inside. And vice versa, the grown-up never wants the dress of that child because he cannot wear it. Everyone is content with their own dress. And in paradise, everyone is content with what they have. But apparently they don't know what is going on in other higher levels. Now, one question was put again to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, alayhi salam, that we are told that if we wish, we can live with our families in paradise. In paradise, we have a social life. I may talk about that if we have time. We have a social life as well as an individual life. Now, especially what gives more pleasure to that life in paradise is when families live together. Now the question was put to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam that suppose a wife and a husband both go to paradise. However, one is much better than the other. The wife, for example, has a higher level, the husband has a lower level, or vice versa. What happens? Do they want to live with each other? If they want to live with each other, what happens? Can the lower level go to higher level or vice versa? Imam said it depends on the wish of the one who lives in the higher level. Yeah. For example, the wife is up there. The husband, of course, wants to go up there. And she's asked, do you like this man to come up to this level and live with you? Of course, ladies are very generous. All of them say yes. Unlike men, I'm sure. So that family life is one type of pleasure in paradise, and also social life. Now, in the Quran, we have lots of verses talking about people coming out of their mansions, sitting together in front of each other in big banquets, where servants are going around bringing them whatever they want, and then they talk to each other. I wonder, in paradise we are told, لا يسمعون فيها لغوا, no idle talk you will hear. Well, there's no business in paradise as well. What do they talk about? What do they talk about? Now, some examples are mentioned in the Quran. قال قائل منهم إنا كنا في أهلنا مشفقين. They remember this world. How come we came here? How did we deserve to come here? Yes, I remember. We were very fearful. فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. Allah had His grace on us. وَوَقَانَا عَذَابَ السَّمُومِ. He saved us from that punishment of Samum, that hot wind. إِنَّا كُنَّا نَدْعُوهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. إِنَّا كُنَّا مِنْ قَبْلُ نَدْعُوهُ. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْبَرُّ الرَّحِيمُ. We were calling upon Him to bring us here. How kind, how generous He was. He listened. Now, this is one type of conversation. Another type of conversation which is mentioned in Surah Safat. قال قائل منهم إني كان لي قرين. One of them says to the other, I had a friend in the previous world. Now there we are. We refer to this world as previous life. in the previous life I had a friend. يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين أإذا متنا وكنا ترابا وعظاما أإنا لمدينون. He was all the time whispering in my ears, do you really believe when we die we become bones and dust, we are going to be alive again? He was always talking to me in this way. I did not listen to him. God saved me. I did not listen to him. And then he says, قَالَ هَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُطَّلِعُونَ. Shall we go and see where this man is now? And this shows people of paradise has this power to see through the hell whenever they wish. قَالَ هَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُطَّلِعُونَ. Shall we look where this friend of mine is now? فَاتَّلَعَ فَرَآهُ فِي سَوَاءِ الْجَحِيمِ. They watch and he's in the middle of the hell. And then there is a conversation. At the end they say, أَفَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَيِّتِينَ. Really we are not going to die? إِلَّا مَوْتَتَنَا الْأُولَى وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمُعَذَّبِينَ. Really God is not going to punish us? إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْمُبِينَ. This is great success. Now this is just remembering, reminiscing what happened in this world. But there's one other thing, serious conversation. I tell you, and I finish my talk about paradise, although there are many aspects of paradise which is left untouched, but is balanced with many aspects of hell which was left untouched. Now, you see, every human being is a unique creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A unique creation. And every human being is created for a unique purpose and unique understanding of God. Although all of us read the Quran, all of us pray, do the same thing, but what we take in, how is channeled through our psychological, spiritual attitude is completely different from each other. And therefore every one of us know God from one angle. الطرق إلى الله بعدد أنفاس الخلائق. The ways to God is as numerous as the number of the people. Now some people quote this saying that, okay, you don't need to follow the Quran or this book or that book. Every person follows what they want. No. That's chaos. That's, of course, going astray. No. When the guidance comes, we are respectables of different shapes. And that guidance is like water poured into us, creates very beautiful shapes of understanding of God. And when we go to paradise, of course, the grace that pours down, the guidance that comes to our heart is immense, immense. But every human being has his own approach and aspect. And when we talk to each other, we share our understandings of God. It is in this way that we like to talk to each other, but there is no idle talk, no lies, no business. Nothing like that. The talks are very beautiful, mesmerizing sometimes when someone else speaks of the way he is seeing the beauty of the Lord in that place. And many more. Let's leave it until we go there, inshallah. Yeah. Okay. How small is this world, isn't it? And when you think about what is ahead of us, you realize what we are sticking to is so small, so worthless. This is what Imam Hussein tried to mention to everyone on the way. That is worthless to stick to a life like this. And the glory and dignity comes when you give up and try to transcend this small life. And this is what came for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And the worth of this life, of course, don't think that this life is worthless. It's small, but it's not worthless. Because those magnificence that you receive in paradise, you don't receive it unless you go through this world. Every day and every night in this world counts. Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam was asked, which one is better, life of this world or life of the next world? Of course, the question is silly, but the answer was very deep. He said, I do not exchange one day of this world with 1,000 years of akhirah. And he was asked why. He said, because 1,000 years of akhirah is a continuation of what I have received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of what I do in this world. But one day of this world, you know how much can increase my levels in akhirah if I use it? If I use it correctly, it's good to ask for long life from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But a long life which you use for your akhirah, that's good. Otherwise, long life to accumulate money, well, you are not going to use it. Long life to just waste time, have pleasure, well, at the end it comes to an end. Long life to use it for akhirah, that's very good. Now when this afternoon the army of Umar ibn Sa'd, they wanted to charge this afternoon. And this very famous statement of Umar ibn Sa'd came this afternoon. The trumpets were blown and the standards were raised, and Umar ibn Sa'd said, Ya Jundallah, irkabi wa bil jannata abshiri. O troops of God, mount and have the good tidings of paradise, going to killing the grandson of the prophets. You see how some people are lost in religion. When they charged, Hussein was just dozing in front of his tent. Zainab came out, saw the troops are approaching, went to his brother and shook him. He woke up and he said, I just saw the Prophet, peace be on him, in my dream. And he said, Hussein, rush to us. Zainab said, my brother, don't you hear? The troops are coming. Hussein commanded Abbas to go and see what they want to do. Do they want to start fighting? And there was only about a couple of hours until night, because they thought they can finish this in a couple of hours or even in an hour. What transpired to be very difficult tomorrow in the Ashura day. So Abbas went and asked them, and came back, and he said that they want to charge, they want to start the battle. Hussein said, go and ask them for one night respite. I want tonight for myself. I want to pray, to do istighfar, to recite Quran. He knew the worth of each night of him, of course. I want tonight for myself. Abbas went, took the message to them. There was a controversy and quarrel among them. No, we shouldn't give them respite, we should finish them off. Until one of them said, shame on you, what's wrong with you? If the troops of Kuffar would have asked us for one night respite, we would have given them. Now this is not a Kafir group, this is grandson of the Prophet, let's give him one night. And at the end they agreed. They agreed. And Abbas came back, and the night started. The way it is reported that night scarcely anyone slept in Hussein's camp, especially Hussein himself. He did not sleep. Lahum dawiyun kadawiyun nah. They were all whispering with their lords. When you were passing by, it was as if bees are buzzing around. They were all whispering, and especially Hussein praying, crying, reciting the Quran. This was how the night passed. And just when the night started, that story happened, that Hussein gathered everyone and said that these people are only after me. They want my pledge. Of course, they didn't want anyone else's pledge. They wanted Hussein's pledge to legitimize Yazid's rule. So, you are all free. I dissolve you of your pledge, free to go. And then everyone stood up and talked. First Ahlul Bayt, the first person, Abbas, standing up saying that should we leave you alone here and go? And then the companions, Zuhair and Muslim ibn Awsaja and others. Among them, Zuhair said, Prophet, grandson of the Prophet, I wished I could die and be burned. And then I was raised again. And then I was killed and was burned. And again I come back to life until 70 times. So that I could just defend one of you, members of the family of the Prophet, by all these deaths of mine. So what are you talking about? We go? Certainly we are not going anywhere. No one left. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, you know tomorrow is only martyrdom. There is nothing else. And there Qasim was standing. He was a young boy. He was only 12 or 13. 11, 12 or 13, Hussein's nephew. And he thought that, well, he was hesitant whether his uncle would ever allow him to fight or not. So he said, Uncle, even I am going to be martyr. And Hussein asked him, how death tastes for you? He said, it's sweeter than honey. He said, yes, you will be martyred as well. If this is your attitude, of course, I cannot stop you. Now, what happened on the day of Ashura, of course, was very sad. Those who were killed at the beginning were the luckiest, isn't it? I mean, if in a battle you don't see that your friends fall down, you don't see your members of family fall down, if you fall, because eventually everyone was going to fall and die. So those who went first were the luckiest. And the more it dragged on, the more the day went ahead, the more difficult it became, because people were losing their energy, and then psychologically they were seeing their dear ones were killed. And it gets your whole power for fighting. That's why this Humayd ibn Muslim, the reporter, because every troop, every army had its own chronicler. Now, many of these traditions which we have from Karbala have come from the chronicler of the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, who had written the things. And of course, there was a chronicler for the army of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And of course, then we had reports of Zainab and Zainul Abidin and others. But officially, Humayd ibn Muslim had written many things. He has written that when Hussein was left alone, because his son was murdered, his child was murdered, his brothers were murdered, several brothers of him were murdered, his nephews were murdered, his cousins were murdered, his companions were murdered. We thought that Hussein cannot take a sword anymore. Especially after Abbas was killed, when Hussein went over his body and he said, now my backbone is broken, my brother. And people shouted in the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, Hussein is finished. After Abbas, Hussein is finished. Now, Humayd ibn Muslim writes that we did not think that Hussein can take a sword after that. But amazingly, the real battle started when Hussein was alone and no one else was there. The real battle started there. When the army, the left wing, the right wing, the heart of the army, they started to come close to Hussein's camps. And this was, of course, something Hussein could not allow. So he said, he had a place close to his own tent, which was a highland. He stood there, and it's said that in a tradition we have that he was so thirsty, so tired, so hot, that he couldn't see anything but smoke in front of him. And then when the army started to charge to his tents, he just said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and charged. Charged saying, Fatimu Zahra ummi wa abi, Qasim al-kufr bi Badrin wa Hunayn. My mother is Fatima. My father is the one who destroyed Kufr in Badr and Hunayn. And he started to charge. And when he just hit the lines of the army, everyone were dispersed. He fought for a while and he came back, again tired. He just stood on his high ground and said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And people in the tents knew that Hussein is still alive. And then when the left wing charged to come towards the tents, he charged. Al-Maut awla min rukub al-aari wal-aar awla min dukhul al-nari. أنا الحسين بن علي آليت ألا أنصني أحمي إيالات أبي. I am Hussein, son of Ali. I have sworn that I will not bow down. I will protect my family alone. Man, that 30,000 troops. But the third time when he charged, he was hit by many arrows which took his energy, and he was stopped. And I don't want to mention the rest of the story. It's so sad, so sad. It's about the grandson of the Prophet. And anyone having smallest attachment to the Prophet would really, really curse anyone which was present there fighting against Hussein, was instrumental in that. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ الْعَلِيِّ الْعَظِيمِ.
Fatima Hussein.